What's up, everybody? It's Maisha, admin licensed cosmetologist in the state of New York. Was good. It is Friday the 13th, September, Friday the 13th, 2024, and we are in the building. I am live on Instagram, Trichology _911. Hey, California. And I am live on Maisha Edmond on Facebook and also on YouTube, Maisha Edmond. And I am super excited to hang out with you today just for a brief moment. I kind of just wanted to thank you, girl. I kind of just wanted to talk about some stuff that's going on, what's coming up, and we are going to get in and out of your way. A little bit of housekeeping tonight is Strategy 911. Super excited about that because I'm going to be talking about the new ways in which I use the Zytoscan. And so if you have a Zytoscan, was thinking about using the Zytoscan and was like, wait a minute, how do I use this? I have literally unlocked some things that I shared maybe like 2 months ago with like my inner circle. I was so like embarrassed. Like embarrassed is an understatement, right? I was really embarrassed that I had taken so long to really research, like, delve into it. But I'm so glad that I did. And what I found was that if you know what you're doing as far as trichology and those things that you want to present as a trichologist, then this Zytoscan is going to be more than a help to you. Most people kind of get their client in and they put their hand on the Zytoscan, and what I'm saying, they get the little report, they look at the biomarkers that's in or out of the circle, and once they look at the biomarkers, if they see a bunch of red all over the outside and a few green, we take that deep breath and go, oh wow, like your toxic stress is like so big and blah blah blah, or you have a lot of biomarkers that are out of range, not really knowing what that means. And so I really took the time to look at what galvanic skin response was, really like how everything affects how you get those readings, the purpose of like those biomarkers, and what is in range and what is out of range. So really, really good information that really blew my mind, and just really using like the different reports and stuff like that. So join me tonight at 10 Eastern Standard Time, and at 10 Eastern Standard Time, I'm going to literally break down for you what I learned, and I want to give to you how you're going to make money right away. Yeah, like all the things. So really, really good stuff, down to treatments that you offer. Ciao. Down to the treatments that you are going to offer. Literally, it builds a treatment plan for you, supports the plan for you. So I ain't gonna get into it, but it's really, really good. So it is going to be crazy. You're going to be off of work? Oh my gosh. So it's the tip jar. So it's $50. And you know how we do. We're going to be there all night. We just going to be yipping and yapping. I'm going to teach the stuff, break down the strategy, and make you a whole lot of money. So like, let's go. Right. Next thing is I'm going to be in Chicago next week. I think it's like 10 days away at this point. I'm going to be in Chicago, and I can't wait to see you. I'm going to be in Chicago on Monday, September 23rd. And I am teaching the business behind the business of trichology. I am so excited. I literally can taste it. I have some stuff for the people that is going to be absolutely crazy. It is going to be so, so good. I'm so excited about the business behind the business of trichology next Monday in Chicago. It is going to be fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. I didn't even think about maybe offering a link for Zoom for those people that's like, man, I really wish I could be there, but I can't. And I would love to, get this, this offering. Like, I didn't even think about it till just now, because I saw Ashley Trichology and she's in Jamaica. But I can probably set up something where I can offer it on Zoom. And if you do VIP, then while you may not be at the dinner that we're having, I literally can still do a VIP session with you, right? So I will go ahead. Somebody is calling me. Oh my gosh. Okay. I could literally offer you a strategy session. Let me see, I usually do. So I can offer you an hour strategy session like at a discounted rate. So we'll talk about that, right? So it's going to be absolutely amazing. I cannot wait for that. So let's get into what we're doing tonight. Oh, no. I gotta tell y'all a story. I gotta tell y'all what happened to me. So you see I'm doing my hands like this, right? Because I just got my nails done, right? Got my nails done yesterday. I haven't had my nails done in like 2 years. It's crazy. Um, my first son went to college, and I was just like, oh, you know what? Let me just kind of cut back and blah, blah, blah. Then I started getting really, really busy. And then my next son graduated. And then, my kids are in, track and chorus and theater and football and all that other stuff. So I really kind of just let it go. But I ended up getting my nails done yesterday, and I was talking to my new nail lady, right? Because she let me in, right? And really hard to get with this lady, but I was like, you know what? Let me go get my nails done. Let me see if I can get an appointment. She happened to be able to squeeze me in. So I'm talking to her, right? Her name is Maria, right? I'm talking to Maria, and we start talking about, well, she started telling me like how she got started. So she came over from El Salvador when she was 14 or 15 years old. So crazy. And I'm gonna get to a, you know what I'm saying, a little point. But I'm gonna tell you the overall thing is that everybody needs a strategist. And if you are able to provide strategy or answers or solutions in one area, trust and believe you're going to be able to do it in all areas. And let me prove it to you why. So I'm talking to Maria, and she's saying, I'm the youngest of five. My mom brought each of my siblings over one by one. I was the last one to come over when I came over, because I'm like, well, how long have you been doing nails? She's like, 20 years. I'm like, wow. So, she looks pretty young. She's like, well, I'm 44, whatever. So she finally gets to America, and she grew up on a farm. She grew up on a farm, and she says that her mother, like, but they were very traditional and farm, so it's like the girls wore really long dresses. There was not like makeup and all that other stuff. She didn't do all of that stuff, so it's like, okay. So she was really just kind of like, learning everything, just being amazed. And she said, she asked her sister who had been here a few months before her, or a year or so before her, what do they need? Yo, I'm about to, okay. She said, what do they need? What kind of jobs do they need us to do? How do we make money? Right? She already had a mind to be like a solutionist, right? She's like, whatever space is open, I'm going to fill it. Let me sidebar. When I first started Trichology, my whole thing was I need to find my own lane. I got to find a lane. And so what happened was I decided to, I think for like maybe, I feel like it was 6 months. It probably was less. But every day that I would wake up, I would say Trichology is easy. But I would also say this, find a hole and fill it. Because I knew that most people, when they finish Trichology training, what they try to do is teach other people Trichology, right? Even without like the experience, right? I'm like, I'm not necessarily interested in being a Trichology teacher, but I can teach. But I want to teach something that they're not teaching in the schools. And that's how I end up with Trichology 911, the business behind the business of Trichology, how to really structure things so that no matter where you learn from, you can apply the information. Anyway, getting back to Maria. So she asked her sister, okay, so how do I, like, what do they need? She starts walking around, and she sees, because she's in New York, she starts to see like nail salons. This is the crazy thing. She knows absolutely no English. She goes into a Vietnamese nail shop, and they don't know no Spanish and barely any English. But she really wanted to work somehow through whatever communication that they did have. she was like, can I work here? Like, what do I need? And they said, well, do you have a license? Whatever she was saying. She's like, no. They told her, you can come and clean up for us. Now, at this time, the nail, saying back in the day, the nail shops open like every single day, like 24/7. Like, it was like a lot. So she would go every single day and she would clean up. She would, she would watch, right? And they took a liking to her, right? Because she was filling a space. So then what happened was they started like more communication, and they started teaching her pedicures because nobody wanted to do pedicures. Another sidebar. Sometimes you're going to find that where you're going to be most impactful is where nobody else is. So when you find your hole to fill, don't go where everybody else is. Look at where there is a deficit. So nobody wanted to mess with the feet, right? So she's like, please, like, I just love it. Like, I really want to learn. So they started teaching her how to do the pedicures. So she starts doing the pedicures, and she's like learning. She told me, she said, I didn't really know their language, but what I ended up doing was catching on to some words that they were speaking, and I was able to understand what they were saying, although I could not speak the language. So she's doing all of that, and she's now doing like the pedicures and still cleaning up. She said she worked there for like a while, and she ended up getting pregnant. She was ashamed, so she just told them that she had to leave. She left, she had a baby, and she ended up moving. And so they moved to Brooklyn. She ended up getting married. She moved to Brooklyn. She goes to another salon. She walks past a salon. She said, hey, I know how to clean up. I know how to do pedicures. Like, can I work here? Like, what do I need? Now in Brooklyn, because I think like she first started was like Queens or something. In Brooklyn, they was like, oh, you don't need no license or whatever. So she was like, cool. They made her the manager. So she managed the salon, and she also like cleaned up, did pedicures, and learned like some stuff. And nobody really was like good at acrylic. So one of the ladies taught her acrylic, and she was doing all the other stuff, and just like really nice, and just kind of, she wasn't challenged to get her license or anything. She was making money, but it wasn't like a whole lot, but she was making money. And they knew, that they wasn't really paying her, but at the same time, she had no license. She was filling a void, but she couldn't demand anything. So let's speed up this story. It's a really good story, but she gets to Long Island. When she gets to Long Island, she goes to this mall called Sunrise Mall. And she goes to Sunrise Mall. She goes to the nail salon, and she starts working. They're doing 50-50 because she don't have a license. She's like, well, what could I do to make more money? Right? And the owner says, well, if you had your license, we would give you 65%. So like all this other time, she was like, oh, I don't know if I could, if I could do this. But she said she ended up staying there. She enrolled in school because she had asked about it, but because there was no demand, she had never went back to get her license. So she ended up going to a nail school in Flushing, Queens, right? And so she would leave Long Island, get on the bus and the train, go to Queens, go to school, get back at 11 o'clock at night to her house and whatever, and do it over and over again. It took 8 months. She said, like, her husband was like, what are you doing? Like, her family is like, yo, what is going on? But they didn't understand. She said verbatim, like, they didn't understand what I was trying to do. They didn't see it then, right? So she finally gets done, passes the state board, and she came back and she says, I have my license. They give her the 65%. So she's doing all of that. I don't know what happened. Like maybe her clientele really grew or whatever. Long story medium, she starts to look for places. She said she would be on the bus and like she would see places for rent. So she said one day, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to look at some places. She gets a price and she's afraid because everyone's telling her. Now, granted, none of these people are business owners. None of these people are nail techs. None of these people have a state license, like, for like cosmetology or anything like that. But she's like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the town. She goes to the town and she says, what do we need to be able to open a nail salon? Because somebody was like, oh, something with water and this and that, and it's so expensive. And the lady tells her, you don't need anything. And she's like, well, don't I need this and that? She says, well, you don't need anything. You have the building, you have your state license, whatever. And this was like, like maybe 20 years ago when she first opened. So that's another sidebar. You can't trust people that have never been where you want to be. You can't trust them to know the ins and outs. I'll say that. Right? People could give you suggestions, but sometimes you have to go and get that education, that information for yourself. Like, some people say, oh, like I say, hey, I'm a trichologist, and you'll see other stylists go, oh, I ain't got that kind of time. That's so much this and that's so much that. But it's like, yeah, no, it's not what you're making it to be. I understand, but it's not that. Like, you could do it. So anyway, getting back to Maria. So she goes, she signs the lease, and she gets her space. She has this big clientele, she's building, she's doing all the things, right? And she had the business for 20 years. COVID hit. She was already like really tired. She wanted to sell the business, but she just couldn't, like people were like not interested. And then somewhere, once the world opened back up in 2020, her old boss that invited her to go and encouraged her to go and get her license, asked her, did she want, was she willing to sell the business? And she was able to sell the business to the person that encouraged her to get her license. And what she did was she downsized. She sold that business. She got her a booth somewhere. She rented a little space, and that's where she is now. And I thought it was like very interesting. So as she was saying it, we're talking, and I'm like, so what's next for you? And she's like, well, I really have time for myself, so I'm taking more classes and stuff like that, all that stuff. So then strategy, right, starts to kick in. And I'm like, hey, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And then I mentioned how I wrote a book, and my book is on Amazon, and I have like I have physical copies and all that. And she goes, I've always wanted to write a book. I bet it's really expensive, huh? And I'm like, no. And like her eyes lit up, and she's like, wait, it's not. I'm like, no. I literally tell her how to do it, and she goes, okay. So we're talking about some other stuff, and I'm like, oh, you can do this, and this will make this easier. And like just kind of just talking and everything. And she goes, I need to be your friend. She's like, I don't have a lot of friends, but a lot of people, they're not really interested in like business and like their goals, and like, she's like, I love to read, I love blah 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 blah, like all the things, right? I'm like, yeah. So like I recommended a book to her, and like we're talking and everything, and she's like, by the time I'm done, she goes, I need to come to your office for a consultation. She's like, I have some hair loss, I'm really concerned, blah blah blah. She breaks out the ketoconazole shampoo, and she's like, this is what they gave me, all the things, right? And I'm like, wow, like, loved her story. I love her story. I can't wait to help her with the things that she needs as far as like strategy or whatever. But also, I say that to say this: no matter where you are, if you do what you do, you're going to have an opportunity to do what you do. Everybody needs strategy. I literally was able to give this woman strategy. Not only that, I'm a trichologist. Everywhere I go, I'm a trichologist. And when I was done sharing with her some strategy, and she was sharing her story with me, I literally was able, hey, Linda, I was literally able to get a new client, which was crazy. So anyway, I just want to let you know that where you are is needed, and who you are is needed, right? Find a hole and fill it. Hey, lady, find a hole and fill it. It will not make sense Let me see. Is it still on? Okay. It will not make sense for you to do everything that everybody else is doing if you don't aim to be the top. So there is something that's not being done in your area. There is something that's not being done in your circle that you really need to look at. You need to look at it. And because of that, I'm going to share with you some stuff that I'm going to be teaching in Chicago. Again, if you're like, I really wish I could come to Chicago, but I'll take a Zoom link and I will take I want VIP. Then if I get enough of y'all, I'll do a VIP session with the group, just like how I'm doing in Chicago. We're going to be at a restaurant, but if you can't, you know what I'm saying? And I'm going to give you specific strategy, a VIP session right there with those people that will join us on Zoom at the end of the week of that week. Okay. So anyway, I always ask this question, but I'm going to ask it in a different way because I want you to start to think about your trichology business. Okay. I'm going to ask you again, what kind of trichologist are you? What kind of trichologist are you? What type of trichology are you going to offer, or do you offer? Very important. When you look at what kind of trichologist are you, I want you to think about skill, knowledge, all of that, right? Then I want you to look at, because you know the type of trichologist that you are, and you know the type of trichology that you're going to offer, I want you to think about what kind of community you could build. Yo, this class is going to be crazy. If y'all love my my online classes, you are going, yo, I just feel it. Now, after you do this, exactly. So Linda likes preventative trichology. So now the next question is this: what community would you build around that type of trichology that you offer? Because you're helping people, but on the business, behind the business of trichology, you're still putting yourself in a place to make the money. After you build that community, what kind of course would they enjoy? Right? And once they get the course, what continuity can you build or could you offer based off of that course? And then once you offer that continuity, what kind of challenge could you create to support the continuity? Right? What kind of challenge could you create to support the continuity that you've offered? So when you think about where you are as a trichologist, and this is what I was telling Maria, my new nail lady, yesterday. Right now, you're still trading your hours for dollars. And if it takes you 2 hours, if it takes you an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to do a really nice set of nails, right? If your price point isn't really high, you can only make as much as as your hands can do, right? You can only make as much money as you can make with your hands. But you have to think about future. Because when I first started thinking about trichology, before I found a school, do you know the first like daydream I had after wearing like a lab coat and, telling people, oh, it's no problem. You have, hypertrichosis and, all the other stuff. The very next daydream that I had about trichology was me sitting at a really cute desk with my ankles crossed, right? With my ankles crossed, telling them, and people coming in, and I was just kind of like on the computer and just talking to people, that I wasn't really doing anything. Hey, Diana. Meaning I wasn't doing the physical labor of it. I was the brains. And so I want you to put yourself in a Trichology CEO position, right? Are you going to constantly, all right, now hand me the scope, okay, now let me do this, okay, and let me do that, okay, and let me go get this, and let me mix this up? And yeah, you could have a salon or a clinic space and have an assistant, but there's something bigger than that. There's something bigger than that. And this is where I need you to look at the business behind the business of trichology. The business of trichology, anybody can do, but not everyone is thinking about what's behind that. What can you create? I don't want you to be fooled by the people that you see all the time in the same trichology spaces, because it's not crowded. You can do something, you can pull something together that will literally be able to support you. It can change the lives of others, and you literally can build a full trichology empire. I'm not even gonna hold you. Like, I'm talking to this lady, she's doing my nails, and now I have a new trichology client, but I also have a new mastermind person. So I'm sitting there talking to her. She's a business owner. She owned her nail salon for 20 years. I'm dropping gems to her. She's telling me something like that. I'm like, oh yeah, I could use that. And I'm sitting there thinking about what other people in the community can I connect with, and we just have mastermind, right? We go somewhere and eat. We got an accountant. We got me, a trichologist. We got, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, what things can you do? Right? So when I say what type of trichologist are you, that's really, you have to look at future. What kind of trichology do you want to offer? Right? What community would you build based off of that type of trichology? Right? Or that skill that you have, and so on and so forth. So anyway, I hope y'all join me tonight, because I'm really going to break down that Zyto scan. I'm going to show you how you can literally build a treatment plan just from that. How for 4 years, I literally just put people's hand on it, studied how to read the report, but didn't go any further into it. And that was crazy. So I'm really going to do that. I just cannot wait. Tonight is going to be bananas. It's going to be absolutely crazy. Invite a neighbor, tell a friend. It's going to be absolutely nuts. But I need to see your face in the place in Chicago on September 23rd. That's going to be crazy. And if you're like Maisha, I really, really, really want to be there. I cannot get there. It's 10 days away. I don't know what to do, although the flights are really good, right? I really want to do it, but I want you to think about how if you could be here, if you could be in Chicago, I'm not in Chicago, but if you could be there, like, what would you need? And I want you to sign up for it anyway. And then I want you to sign up for the full thing so that we can do your VIP strategy session as well. Linda said that's what Napoleon Hill talks about in Think and Grow Rich. Absolutely, because I'm reading it again for the 7th time. I literally have it right there. I am like highlighting stuff, and he said mastermind with different people from different disciplines. Absolutely. And it works. I was talking to my husband one time, and I was saying, guaranteed, if you got the top of 5 different industries, although the language is different, they are all saying the exact same thing. If you got the head of beauty industry, construction, finance, fashion, and like oil, and you put them all in the same room, they would have a different vocabulary, but they would be saying the same thing. And that's how I think about stuff. That's why I can go to any business class. I can look at any interview, any podcast or whatever, and they could be talking about opening a food truck. And I'm like, word, cool. I'm like the father on My Big Fat Greek Wedding. He said, give me any word, and I'm gonna tell you how the origin is Greek. That's the same thing. You could say anything about anything, and I'm literally going to tell you how it affects your hair growth and hair loss. So that's the thing. Changing, you have to be a critical thinker if you're going to be the top trichologist. If you're going to be the top in trichology, now if you're doing it because, and listen, I ain't even gonna hold you. Sometimes we do stuff because we really want to feel important. And people have downgraded cosmetology for so long. There's like, oh, she do hair, oh, she braid, or he cuts hair, and it's like, you know what I'm saying? But people have downgraded it for so long that if you step into the cosmetology space and then into the trichology space and all that other stuff, the class tonight is at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're literally going to look at, I got to change the face of this. One thing so I had a first lady a few years ago who said to me, Maisha, I think this was a few years ago, because I was saying, oh my God, they sold out of my clinicals and I got to wait till a certain time now. And she said, Maisha, when I'm in the hospital and I'm in the hospital bed and the lady come in with the scrub and she giving me cookies, I don't know who she is. I think she the nurse. She's like, I don't know what they call when they come around, if they the dietitian, the dietetic technician or whatever. And she got on scrubs and she in the hospital. She looked like a nurse to me. She would literally have to tell me that she wasn't a nurse, right? So I'm laughing. She's like, don't nobody know that you didn't take your clinicals yet? You're doing the work. You're blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. But what it said to me was how you present yourself and how you carry yourself. You present the type of trichology that you want people to accept, right? So one lady had come to me and she came and she looked at all my stuff. She said, I've been to a trichologist and they ain't got none of this stuff. And I'm like, child, the stuff don't make the trichologist, but I get it. Because, if you got somebody saying, child, you bald headed and you ain't got no hair and your hair just broke off and, you just saying all kind of stuff. And then you have someone that says, okay, you have traction alopecia. The follicles are distressed at this point, blah, blah, blah. It's a difference, right? It's a difference. It's a difference of $450. I said it's a difference of $450. What you talking about, Maisha? Glad you asked. You bald-headed and your hair broke off might get you $30. Right? But if I'm able to break down what's going on and tell you tactfully and have a solution, I'm going to get $697. I sat there and got my nails done for the first time with Maria yesterday. And I didn't tell her I was taking any new clients. I did not offer her a hair loss consultation. I never looked at her head. And she said, I need a consultation with you and I want to come in your office. Please put me on your books. Now, everybody know me. I only book, I have a booking site. But because she, she slid me in, business owner to business owner, I put her on in there. And when I sent her, okay, this is the time you'll come. This is what you'll need to do. And this is the price. And she said, okay, I'll be there. So I really want you to look at positioning. Look at positioning. Look at where you want to be. Look at how you are presenting. It's time to step up. It's time for you to step up. One of the reasons we're always quitting Trichology, and I can say that because I quit 5 to 7 times, right? Whatever day that was, 5 or 7. But the reason why we're always quitting, and the reason why we're always second guessing, and the reason why we say, you know what, I'm gonna just go back and just, you know what I'm saying, just do this or do that, is because we haven't stepped into our genius as it relates to Trichology. And I feel like that's one of the things that we're definitely going to be doing at the business behind the business of Trichology. And listen, I'm not ashamed to say it, child. This is going to be one of the best live Trichology business events you have been to. Absolutely. Linda said lack of confidence. But how you going to get your confidence? Well, when you're in a space where you learned a bunch of stuff and you had to learn it real quick so you could pass the test and make sure you got in the clinicals and got out and all that other stuff, and then you don't sit down and look at what you have. You know how many times I was like, oh, I need that. Oh, I need that. I need to buy that. I need to get in that class. I need to do this. I need to do that. And then when I slowed down, I said, wait a minute. And I listened. They're saying the same thing I know. I have that stuff already, right? I remember when I first started looking at like Trichology and like why everybody had like all these products, and it was like this whole like WhatsApp group, and some of y'all know what I'm talking about. It was this whole WhatsApp group, and the products was behind, and you had to go here, there, and everywhere to try to get the products, and you couldn't find the products, and you know it was going to be this long and that long, and people was pretty much like, yo, I can't even take clients because I don't got these products. And I'm looking and I'm like, yo, for them to have a chokehold on this many people who don't really know what they're doing is crazy. And I start looking and I'm like, oh. And so what I did with my community, I said, listen, y'all can go over there and play with these people if you want to, or you could look at the characteristics of the issue and find out what active ingredient it needs. And you could find it in something as simple as Head and Shoulders. If you need zinc pyrithione or salicylic acid or glycolic acid, and they trying to give you something in a really pretty bottle because doctors use it in their office when you literally can break it down and get the stuff somewhere else. Okay. So a lot of times we don't have any confidence because we don't even know what we possess. We don't even know what we have. We don't know. We don't recognize what we have. So we second guess, and then we third guess, and then we back up, and then we're quiet, and then we don't see you anymore. And although everything is not online and for online consumption, and some people say, well, I just do it old school because I don't like to be on live, and I don't want all of that. That's fine, but are you taking that same energy and you're out there in the community? Or if I come to your community, I still don't know, ain't nobody never heard of a no trichologist because you still ain't doing nothing in the community, even though you ain't like that and you really don't be online like that. So what you gonna do? Why did you spend all this money? Why did you spend all this time? Once we get past the fact that, okay, listen, I did it. I did want to feel important. I did feel like it was like another level. Like I'm not just a regular hairstylist and all that. Once you got past that, what are you going to do now? Anyway, I cannot wait to see y'all tonight. Strategy 911. The link is in my bio. Hit the tip jar. I'm going to see you tonight. I'm going to give you the strategies for this Zyto. I'm going to show you what I learned. You're literally, if you have Zyto or you're able to, hey, Vanessa, look at your Zyto and all that other stuff. I want you to break it out because I'm going to show you some adjustments that you need to make so that you literally can dominate. I'm going to show you how it's literally writing treatment plans. Like, let's get it, let's go, right? And then also next Monday, September 23rd, 2024, I'm going to be in Chicago for the business behind the business of Trichology. Hey, I I have something. If you want me to come to your state and you want to host me and let's do another business behind the business of trichology class, like I'm down. Let me know. Reach out. I want to be there. Very demure, very mindful. Right? So that is going to be crazy. Okay, you got 2 Zytos for skip. Okay, well, come to the come to the strategy session. Come to Strategy 911 tonight. I open up the floor for you to sell a Zyto scan so that people can use it. All right. So listen, tonight, please be at Strategy 911. It's going to be absolutely crazy. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend. I want you in Chicago, September 23rd, 2024 is going to be bananas. Business behind the business of trichology. It is going to be absolutely amazing. If you can't make it and you like, Maisha, I really wish I could make it. I will, if I get enough people, if I get at least 4 people, I will create a link and I will allow you to attend on Zoom. And then I will give you your VIP strategy session with everyone else. Okay. So I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. It's going to be crazy. But while we're doing that and while you're gearing up to come to Chicago, hey, beauty minister, I want you to think of these things that I always ask. What kind of trichologist are you? What type of trichology are you going to offer? What community would you build around the type of trichology that you're offering? Is there a course? What kind of course would your community enjoy? What continuity would be based around the course, and what challenge would support the continuity? I want you to think about those things. I can't wait to see you tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click the link in my bio. I can't wait to see you. Have a great day today. Happy hair growing.